Hi everyone, hope you are feeling positive and healthy. Please subscribe with bell notifications if you haven't already, and please don't hesitate to leave your valuable feedback and advice below. Thank you very much. Let's jump into the stories. Am I the unreasonable one? 18F, for telling my dad, 55M, it's unfair he paid for my brother's, 23M, college tuition, but won't pay for mine? Am I the unreasonable one? 18 years old female, for telling my dad, 55 years old male, it's unfair he paid for my brother's, 23 years old male, college tuition, but won't pay for mine? My dad has always liked my brother more than me. He's his golden child. My brother always got to go out and stay with friends. He could invite girlfriends over. I couldn't even talk to boys growing up. He was applauded for doing basic chores such as taking out the trash every once in a while, and I was always told I wasn't doing a good enough job around the house. My dad has bought him a new car. While he looked for the cheapest car he could get for me, I had to get a job to pay for the few nice things that I have. I know it's his money and he can decide how he wants to spend it, but it's really hard not to feel hurt when he gives him more than I without even having to ask for it. I found a nice 4-year university college at Ohio University, which was a few $1,000s cheaper a semester than the university my brother went to, and I promised him I wouldn't get any lower grades than B's or better for him to pay. I thought I made a compelling argument, but he told me there's no point in wasting money to pay for my college since all I had to do was focus on my looks so I can marry a well-off man. I wanted to scream at him, but I don't have the courage to. I just told him it was unfair that he would pay for my brother's college, but not mine, and all he said was it's his money and he can decide to use it however he wants to. I guess looking back at it, it was pretty stupid of me to assume he would pay for it, and he is right that it's his money, his choice. I've had friends whose parents didn't pay for their college either, so I do feel a bit like a brat for expecting him to pay for my college. However, it still feels unfair and wrong for him to not financially support me even a little bit, especially when he has the funds to do so. He's a pediatrician. Am I the unreasonable one for thinking it's wrong for my dad to pay for my brother's college, but not mine, even though it is his money? Sorry for the long rant. Not the unreasonable one. Your dad sounds extremely sexist. It would be a completely different matter if he were treating you the same as your brother, but he very obviously is picking favorites. Not the unreasonable one, but don't count on that money. Your dad is clearly just sexist. Get a job, pay for uni, look great, make heaps of money on your own. Rich husband don't hurt though, and then don't invite your dad to your fancy holiday house or anything ever again. Am I the unreasonable one for swearing at my husband's stepmother and telling her she will never be my child's grandmother? My husband's parents got divorced when he was 24 as his father had been caught cheating with my aunt Sarah. Sarah is not really my aunt, but she is a really good friend of my mom's, so I've known her my whole life. She met my father-in-law during my engagement party and started the affair a month later. Sarah's previous husband divorced her after 10 years of marriage when he found out she was infertile, so she has no children of her own. My father-in-law worked for my husband's maternal grandfather's company, and when the affair was exposed, he was fired and lost access to his luxury lifestyle. My husband cut his dad off and their mom filed for divorce very quickly. Since she did not work and he wasn't fired until after the divorce was finalized, he had to pay her a lot of alimony. That, plus him being so used to a certain lifestyle, meant he blew through his savings very quickly. My father-in-law has tried to reconcile with my mother-in-law multiple times, but she has rejected him each time, so he currently lives in a lousy apartment with Sarah. Despite not being married to his dad and having no relationship with each other, Sarah loves to tell everyone my husband is her stepson and that she's so proud of him. My husband hates this, but is completely no contact with her, so he has never told her to stop directly. I'm currently pregnant with our first child. Since lockdown, me and my mom have been Skyping daily to talk about life. My husband occasionally joins in, but on this particular day he wasn't home, thankfully. During the call I notice Sarah is there. She starts butting in and asking me how her son is doing. I brush her questions off and try to focus the conversation back on me and my mom, but she keeps interrupting. Eventually, Sarah asks me how her little grandbaby is doing. I got pissed and told her my baby already had grandmothers and she wasn't one of them. She started arguing that she was the step-grandmother, and I got increasingly angry and cussed her out, which ended with me telling her she will never be my child's grandmother and ending the call. DBH, I have a lot of pent-up anger at Sarah. For a long time, my mother-in-law was very cold with me, and I know she held some resentment towards me for indirectly causing the affair. She has since apologized profusely and we're very close, But during this time a part of me was terrified my fiancé would end things over it. If Sarah really saw me as her niece like she claims, I don't think she would have done something like this, knowing I could also face consequences if she got caught. My mom ended up calling me back later to tell me I had made Sarah cry and that I was acting like a BTCH, as I knew she would never have kids of her own and this was the only chance she had to be a grandma. Not being able to have kids has always been a sore spot for Sarah, and I knew that, so a part of me does feel bad despite everything she's done. Was I TA? Infertility is very sad, but Sarah is not in any way in a grandmother position here. The son is completely estranged from his father, and it sounds like you don't look too fondly on this Aunt either. Not the unreasonable one. Not the unreasonable one. I don't get what it is with all these step-parents/significant others who think that having an affair and ending someone's marriage will make them a beloved parent by the children of the affair partner. The entitlement of this woman is unreal. Am I the unreasonable one for refusing to go on a vacation if my sister's sister-in-law comes? My sister and I are planning on taking a vacation together with our significant others after COVID. Last night my sister messaged me and told me her sister-in-law wants to come too. This wouldn't be an issue if it weren't for the fact that she is hung up on my boyfriend. He's a family friend of my brother-in-law's family, and after getting drunk at a wedding, my sister's sister-in-law and he slept together. Afterward, she told him that she's always had feelings for him. He told her that while he cared about her deeply, it was a mistake and he apologized for leading her on. This was 4 years ago. We've been together for 2. I didn't know any of this until after we had been seeing each other for a few weeks. Out of respect, I called up sister-in-law and asked her if she felt comfortable with me seeing him. She told me that she was completely over him and said we had her blessing. A few months afterward, we're at my sister's house for Christmas, and after a few drinks, sister-in-law started hysterically crying, saying that she was still in love with my boyfriend and that I was a whore for taking him away from her. I was extremely uncomfortable, so I just apologized profusely and left soon after. Ever since then, there hasn't been a blow-up like that, but she is extremely passive-aggressive. She makes comments under her breath about our relationship, is extremely touchy with my boyfriend, and mentions that they've slept together at the most inappropriate times. The last time it happened to be at my birthday dinner in front of my parents. Because of this, I told my sister that we would not be coming on the trip if she was going to come. I'm fine with being civil at family gatherings, but I'm not going to pay to go on a trip where I'm going to be uncomfortable. My sister said that I'm being childish and petty. Am I the unreasonable one? Also, I just wanted to mention that my sister did not invite her. She mentioned the trip as a couple's trip, and sister-in-law essentially invited herself. Not the unreasonable one. That doesn't sound like a fun trip. It is easier to be civil at home than on a trip. Trips add stress, which makes it more difficult to bite your tongue or ignore passive aggressiveness. Not the unreasonable one. Your sister is in a lousy position and I feel for her, but she shouldn't subject you to that. Am I the unreasonable one for telling my extended family how I really lost weight and blaming them for why I talk to them like I do? Throw away for privacy. Mobile so typos. I know I am an here, but I'm more asking if I am a justified my 26 years old female. Whole life I've been chubby. In high school I was 160 pounds 5'6" and a 3-sport athlete. In college I stopped playing sports and wasn't eating well, graduated at 200 pounds. The next couple of years was 180 to 200 pounds. But I worked out regularly and only had my doctor say something about my weight once. In comparison, the cousins I grew up with are all roughly my height, but 100 to 120 pounds, so I was the fat one. My extended family were obsessed with weight and being healthy. I would get tips on losing weight. People would say things to my mom, and my mom would constantly buy dresses too small for me and just say before so-and-so's wedding we'll both lose weight. Basically they are horrible. I had issues. I used to only wear oversized hoodies even in the summer. In high school, when I was more into fashion, I wore Spanx or corsets under my clothes all day. I eventually went to therapy in college and have a much healthier outlook. It's not just me that suffered too. My sister is mocked for not eating and another cousin admitted she was happy when her doctor told her she was underweight. She knows it's bad, just admitted her feelings. It's safe to say I hold a lot of resentment to how my family treats weight loss. 3 years ago I was diagnosed with cancer. It was difficult and I lost a lot of weight very quickly. I didn't keep track because I lost my breasts and it felt like with every pound I was losing myself, like I'd disappear. The entire time I was bombarded with questions on how I lost all that weight and how amazing I looked. I basically refused to talk to anyone in the family for the time I was doing chemo, including my parents, and they still haven't forgiven me. Last year the cancer came back. I am in remission now, but I was on meds that made me lose weight again. This time, instead of cutting out my family, I respond to their rude weight loss comments with "thanks, I'm dying." It's the poison, Or I mean you can lose like 50 pounds if you cut of an arm. Some people looked appropriately shamed, but others got very angry. When I am confronted I would scold them. I have a good memory, so I would cite all the horrible and stupid things they said to me and my cousins growing up. How I know they don't give a crap about health. Most of them cry or yell at me. This has ruined events. Before COVID, and I've been labeled as a brat, but I don't really care. This all came to a head when my mom asked me to apologize to an auntie and I refused, and my mom cried and told me that I will most likely die alone. I know she was being manipulative, but it has made me think, am I being too cruel? I could be nicer. I don't think my methods actually change minds. If anything, that just cause fight. I just didn't really care. I'm not a cold person and I miss my family, but I did kinda snap on this issue. You say that you could be nicer, but so could they. Are they going to change their behavior? Or do they just want you to take the abuse more graciously? F that. You don't owe them nice. You don't owe them anything. Not the unreasonable one. Not the unreasonable one. I'm glad you're in remission and I'm also really glad you're standing up for yourself. Would I be the unreasonable one if I tell my mother I don't go to Costco with her because she's a Karen? I, 22, live with my parents right now. My mother is horribly entitled and narcissistic, and absolutely loves Costco. Back in early June I made the mistake of going to Costco with her. When we were there, I was horrified by her behavior. Constantly nitpicking every little thing to any nearby staff, complaining, during COVID no less, that they don't have free samples, etc. The worst, however, was when we already paid and were in the line to get our bags checked to leave. The line was a total of 2 minutes, but that was too much. 10 seconds into being there, she literally started screaming at an employee at the membership desk, from her place in line, mind you, across the way, about how that guy works in customer service and therefore needs to fix it. She even demanded his and other nearby employees' names, threatening to call corporate and threatening to make the initial guy pay for her entire purchase, because her frozens were melting. I was so horrified/ashamed/embarrassed that I actually apologized for her right then and there, and did my best to just get through the line. In the car, I mentioned to her that her behavior was way out of line. She literally couldn't process that she was in the wrong, so I quietly vowed never to go to Costco with her again. It's been 2 months now, and she's started to figure it out after constantly asking me to go with her and me downright refusing under any circumstance. She's now asking me why I won't go with her, and I can't hide it anymore because I go with my dad. Would I be the unreasonable one if I tell her that her terminal case of Karen is the reason I won't go to Costco WTH her anymore? Note: I will not phrase it as your terminal case of Karen. I'll choose better words. Extra important info. My father has asked me to try and keep quiet about this issue around her to reduce stress in the house. Every day there is an issue, and every day we are expected to quietly deal with it because the result of confrontation is verbal abuse. I've been keeping quiet to keep peace. Also, this got upvoted a lot. I'm doing my best to read everything. I did receive several links/copy and pastes of Don't Rock the Boat. I've also received the other subs such as r/raised by narcissists. Thank you. Additional information/fact. 1. We believe she is mentally ill. My guess is schizophrenia, because she is so incapable of understanding what is really going on. 2. The last time we had a huge confrontation with her about things I was still in high school. She was in denial and it was completely unsuccessful. She refused therapy, claimed I was just jealous of her, and it went all wrong. That's why my dad wants us to be quiet. 3. I'd show her video of someone else, but I genuinely think that unless she is on the video, she won't even snap to it. 4. We are actually having a behavior talk with her sometime today, because she's gotten particularly out of hand lately. 5. I'm working on moving out. I wasn't supposed to be here, but neither was COVID. I'm trying to find a job, and my dad will help me move into an apartment as soon as that happens. Unfortunately, it's difficult to find work right now. 6. I live in the US. I'm sorry I don't write like I do. 7. I cannot stress enough, I will not call her a Karen when I confront her. Thank you to everyone's love and support. Maybe I'll give an update once we talk to her. Not the unreasonable one. People really need to be told that treating customer service workers like dirt isn't acceptable. She probably won't take it well, from experience, but being mean to grocery workers is wrong at any time, let alone in the middle of a pandemic when they're under that much more stress. Not the unreasonable one. You need to tell her before she goes nuts and someone films her and she goes viral. This behavior is inappropriate and demeaning to employees. I would be as horrified as you. Aita for yelling at my mother that my dead brother is long gone. My, M16, brother, I'll call him Tom, passed away when I was 9. in an auto accident. Last week was his 32nd birthday. Ever since Tom passed away, my parents started treating me differently. They'd force his old clothes on me to wear instead of donating them. Mom would only cook me his favorite meals and hope that I liked them. I never did. She banned me from decorating his room when I moved in it and refused to move his things out. It looked like I was sharing the room with my brother. My dad refused to let me learn to drive and get a DL, saying he feared that I'd end up with the same fate as Tom. They'd host family members to celebrate his birthday every year and have me blow the candles every single time because I'm the only sibling. Last week, at the night of his 32nd birthday, after I had been hugged and kissed and cried with like it was my birthday, my mom, dad and I were talking. Dad asked what plans I have for a career, which degree I was going to be pursuing in the future / what college I want to attend, etc. I told him I've always wanted to be an engineer, and the type of degree I want to pursue. They both looked at me with a frown as they weren't expecting this response, though my mom always knew I wanted to be an engineer, but instead she decided to bring my deceased brother up and talked about what he was going to be before he died, and it was a great field and I should really consider it. I got annoyed. I said I'm not my brother. I have my own plans / goals / career choices in the future. They didn't like what I said and told me that I can't be acting out like this at the mention of my brother and be holding a grudge instead of honoring his memory, then started again about how that field is a very successful field and I'll be living a good life if I pursue it. I lost it. I yelled at mom and told her that my brother is long gone, that she should stop trying to put his favorite things / hobbies / career on me. I told them I was sick of being a replacement all my life and that I can't wait to move out and get a life of my own that they both tried to take away from me. My mom cried because of this. My dad scolded me for this and said I was a disrespectful jerk to talk about Tom like that and make mom upset. Was I really the not the unreasonable one? I feel as if your family is crazy saying you can't get a driver's license. I also do believe it's somewhat weird that they host birthday parties for a dead person. P.S. Terribly sorry for your loss. Edit. I guess I can understand the driving license bit. But yeah, the rest is absolutely crazy. Not the unreasonable one. Your parents were not able to process his death in a healthy way. Unfortunately, you are on the receiving end of their inability to grieve properly. They should seek professional help. Therapy. Losing a son can never be easy, but they have made it harder for you and themselves than it needs to be. Try to have a conversation when tempers aren't as high. Maybe they can listen more easily. Honestly, sounds like it's past that point and professional help is needed. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more stories delivered to you. Thanks for listening. See you later.